Greetings again, fellow hams. Carsten, OZ9 Alpha Radio. This is the third video of my Greencube Terminal program, and this time we will focus on some of the logging options, how to import ADF files the first time you are going to use Terminal, how to interface with, in this case, Ham Radio Deluxe log system, and how to export ADI files from Ham Radio Deluxe. As I mentioned in the other videos, there are many different logging programs out there, and most of them are supported by Greencube Terminal. Most logging programs can receive log from external programs using TCP or UDP packages, and there are a couple of standards, and most of the logging programs at least tries to follow these standards, and Terminal also tries to follow these standards. So most of the logging programs will work with terminals, and maybe you need to do some experiments, but I know that a good amount of different log systems are working with Terminal. So yeah, chances are that you also will be lucky with that. First of all, if we go into settings again, you can see that I have enabled logging to AC log, which is the log program that I normally use for satellite and also for HF contacts and whatnot. I know that many satellite guys use CloudLog, which is an excellent log program, cloud-based, and which also supports satellite QSOs and Greencube. Terminal can communicate with the CloudLog using TCP logging, and it can even reply back with call sign and grids if they have been worked before and so on. So there's some nice possibilities there. I won't touch that in this video. I will focus on ADF file logging and on UDP logging. UDP logging in this case is going to Ham Radio Deluxe, the log program in Ham Radio Deluxe, which I have installed and running. ADF file is the, how should I put it, the basic way of logging contacts in Greencube Terminal. This will always work. It is not dependent on having other applications installed on your PC. You don't need an internet connection, and it's basically just the contacts are saved into a text file, an ADI file, which you can then import into LOTW, other log programs, etc. So that's the basic way of logging things. I will show a few features, especially using ADF files for searching for already worked call signs and already worked grids. This is something that I get a lot of questions about, and pretty much have gotten those questions since the beginning of Terminal. And it is pretty easy, but again, there, as I said before, there are many settings and many ways you can do things in Terminal. And I guess that is what most people are struggling with, is to get the idea how this works when setting up and when using ADI files. So first of all, we will set up which ADI file to use, and in this first test here, we will just assume that we have just started using Terminal and we don't have any QSOs before, or in any kind. We just started on Greencube and we want to be able to log our contacts in an ADI file. So we enable logging to ADF file. You can add azimuth elevation to the records, and if you do so, the information about your azimuth elevation and the information about the DX station's azimuth and elevation will be included in the ADI. It's not something that you need to do. Some wants to have the information, and some are using it for analyzing stuff. But yeah, it's not mandatory. I have also enabled the search ADF file for call and grid. This feature will enable you, once you have worked a lot of stations, it's nice to know that when a new call sign pops up, if you have worked that station before, if you have worked the grid before, you will get notifications about that in the dupe list and also in voice messages if enabled. So we will name the ADI file we're going to create. We'll just call that test. There's no file there yet, but when we log the first contact, the file will be created. If we look in the folder, you can see there are no ADI files at the moment. As I said, we search ADF file for call grid, and that's it. Don't think about that AC log is enabled. As I said before, all these 4 different log methods here can actually be enabled at the same time. So you can log your contacts into 4 different systems at once. 3 logging programs and the ADF file. Everything can run in parallel. The only limitation is that you can only use one method for searching of already worked call signs and grids. You can either search the ADI file, you can search AC log, or you can search TCP log, cloud log, if that one is enabled, which is not here, but yeah, you get the point. In this case, we will say that we want to search ADF file for call grids. And we don't care if the station has been worked before on another satellite. If we click this one, we will only get we will get notified if the call sign or the grid has not been worked on that satellite we have selected right now, in this case IO-117. So if a station pops up that I have worked on RS-44, for example, also satellite, I will get a notification if the same call sign pops up on IO-117 because I have enabled this one. So if I remove that, if a station that I have worked before on RS-44 pops up on IO-117, I won't get a notification because I already worked the station on another satellite. So there's really no need to, take airtime and use bandwidth on Greencube for doing basically a duplicate contact. So this is what we will start with. As I said, I have also enabled UDP logging. In this case, I have configured port 2300, and it goes into ham radio deluxe. If I put that one on screen here, you can see if I go into configure QSO forwarding, you will see that I have enabled receive QSO notifications using UDP, and I have set port 2300. And again, this port needs to be the same as the one we have configured in here. So in this case, it will go to port 2300 and into the ADF file when I do a log. We save that, and we will, as we don't have a satellite yet over the horizon, we will use the inject menu, click on traffic, and press the J button, and this one pops up. In this case, I'm simulating. I know that this morning I worked N6WS in Charlie Mike 95. In a moment, I will also try and get a ADI file from LOTW, and when we do that, you will see why I picked this call sign. As I said, the way terminal is right now, it is completely empty. Nothing has been logged in the ADF file. Again, the ADI file is empty. The one I selected, test.adi, is not even created yet. And I selected to search ADF file for calling grid. So we now simulate that we get a message from we got a message from N6WS.
Call sign, November 6 Whiskey Sierra, has a new grid locator, Charlie Mike 95, and has not been worked before. Message to me from November 6 Whiskey Sierra.
And we got the two messages, one that says that, oh, we got, there's a call sign incoming, and he is in the grid we haven't worked before, Charlie Mike 95. And the next message is that there is a message to me from that station. That's fine. You see that the call sign pops up in the calling me list. I can get up here and I can right click and I can say log call sign. And the call sign has been logged. First of all, we can have a look in here in Ham Radio Deluxe in the log program, and you can see that the contact was logged here as expected. If we then go into the folder where we placed the ADI file, you can see now test.adi has been created. We can open it up in a text editor, and yeah, you can see the same information as we saw in Ham Radio Deluxe. Call sign November 6 Whiskey Sugar, and if we go grid square Charlie Mike 95, so that's as we expected. So now we have logged N6WS into the ADI file, and we actually also, you couldn't see that, but it was actually also logged into AC log. You see this line here, the same contact, because it was enabled in settings that also use AC log. So let's pretend that we have just started terminal again, and we have a new pass. And once again, let's say that N6WS calls CQ, and he includes his grid Charlie Mike 95. In this case, you see that he is not painted red because the grid we already worked it, and the call sign we already worked. Again, because the ADI file was searched, and we saw that both the call sign and the grid were actually worked before. So that is, that's what we expected. Now we can do if we do this N7 Whiskey Sugar from the same grid.
Call sign November 7 Whiskey Sierra has not been worked before.
Because we have worked the grid, but it's an initial call sign. So that's the way that works. The ADI file was searched, and terminal determined that that Charlie Mike 95 has been worked, so the grid is okay, but the call sign has not been worked. So so that's why it is coming up in green. Sorry. So if we now remove that, as I said, in the ADI file, we can still see that N6 whiskey sugar is present as it should be. So everything is nice. So let's get in here and delete the ADI file. Okay, and now we go to Ham Radio Deluxe. We have only, that one contact, and now we will, this is how it would be if you have used some other means of communicating over a terminal, or you have a lot of satellite QSO already in Ham Radio Deluxe. The first time you want to use terminal, you would go into Ham Radio Deluxe, and you would export your logbook as an ADI file. And in my case, well, I have only one contact, but still, we are going to export it. We're going to export it as an ADI file. We need to name it something. We will call it hrd.ali. Okay, and we will say export. Okay, and we will then get back in here, and we can see, if we look in the folder now, we have the hrd.ali, and if we look in the file, we have the ADI file as it was exported from Ham Radio Deluxe. Ham Radio Deluxe and many other logging programs are using a lot of different ADF keywords in here. Basically, the only thing we're interested in is the set name, and yeah, of course, the call sign and the grid line for the station. Let's see if we can find it. One moment. Yeah, call sign N6WS, and his grid square. Yeah, it's here. Grid square Charlie Mike 95 Radio Alpha. Okay, so this is the contents of the exported ADI file from Ham Radio Deluxe. So we bring that out of the way, and again we go into settings, and now we go in here and we select hrd.ali. Okay, and we are still searching that one for call and grids. So again, we are going to inject a message. We will just let the N6WS call CQ from CM95 again. And you see that in this case, we are not getting notified because we already worked the grid and we already worked the station. Both are present in that one record in Ham Radio Deluxe's ADI export. So that's basically how that works. This was an example of how to export your log from a logging program. Many people would probably export it from LOTW, and I will show you here, how that works. Get on your LOTW account and do a login, and basically you go into your QSOs, download report, and include QSL details. This enables this will put in the DX station's grid square and so on, so that one will be included, and the terminal will have a chance of searching for grid squares also. And we just download a report, and the report has been downloaded. I will bring it over here, and I only exported in here today's QSOs, and if we look, you will see that Echo 20AX has confirmed on 10 meter SSB. N6WS has confirmed, and Grid Square Charlie Mike 95, and then also KB8 Charlie Radio has confirmed today EM97. So these are the three. Normally that one would be, could be thousands of records, but I narrowed it down so that it's just the QSOs that was made today. It makes it a bit easier for us to handle. So we open up. We open up this. Let me see. Hold on. I need to bring. I'm copying the file. Sorry for that. Yeah, I'm bringing the file I just downloaded from LOTW. I bring that into the folder where, Terminal picks up all its files, documents Greencube Terminal. And we go into settings, get in here and select LOTW report. And we are still enabled search ADF file for call and grid, and we do save. And as you remember, Norway 6 Whiskey Sugar is still present. Now he's just in the file we downloaded from LOTW. We do an inject, and again he's not painted green or red, so we know that we have worked him. You also saw that that in this file KB8 Charlie Radio was there. So let's say that he is also calling CQ, and he is calling CQ from Echo Mike 97 Uniform Foxtrot. Okay, and again, he has also been worked before, so so nothing different is coming up there. Just to show you, let's say that somebody is in another place.
Call sign, November 1 Lima India Delta, has a new grid locator, Fox November 01, and has not been worked before.
And we could say that November 2 lit has moved into Charlie Mike 95, which we know we already worked, so we inject that one.
Call sign,
and it's green
November 2 Lima India Delta has not
Charlie
been
Mike
worked
95,
before.
But we have not worked the call sign into lit before, so that one is green. And again, this is based on this exported LOTW ADI file, whereas there's a single non-satellite contact, and then there is N6WS and KB8 Charlie Radio. Those are the only satellite contacts in there. So they were found, and everything else is not found. So that's pretty much how you use ADF files in the most simple and basic way. Normally, you would, at least what I recommend people, is to export all your contacts from LOTW if you use that, and bring in that file into documents Greencube, and then use that file in your settings. And then if you, let's say that N2 lit is yeah, it actually doesn't matter. We don't need to he could send a message to me. Okay, into lit. Let's say he does
Message to me from November 2 Lima India Delta.
That's nice. We can right click here and we can lock him. We can actually also right click down here and lock him. So let's just say we locked him. Okay. Then we go into let me find the file. Yeah, it's coming here. Now I reopened the LOTW report ADI file, which I'm using in setting. And you still see A20AX, you see N6WS, you see KB8 Charlie Radio, and at the bottom you see the new one. That's N2 lit. I just logged in grid square Charlie Mike 95. So every time I do a log from in here, the file we just exported from LOTW will have that contact appended. And we will just continue doing that because the same file is used for looking up call signs. Let's say that we clear everything and we do an inject. Let's say that N2 lit is again coming on. You see now he is not painted green anymore because we know he has been worked. The program looks up in the ADI file and it sees that N2 lit has been worked, and also Charlie Mike 95 grid has been worked actually with N2 lit and N6WS are both in Charlie Mike 95, and we have locked both contacts. So this is the way I recommend. If you don't have a log system where you can search for call and grids from terminal, that means if you're not using AC log or cloud log, then this is the way you need to do it. You select in logging, you select ADI file, enable logging, and then you can enable whatever method you want to use for logging into your own logging program if you have that. But always enable ADI logging and click the search ADI file for call grid. Then the ADI file will be used for checking if you worked a station before or a grid. And when you log a contact, the contact will be logged in the ADI file and in whatever other method you have chosen. So this is the simplest way of handling logging in here. So one final thing I will touch. This is only something you would need if you are roving, which luckily a lot of guys are, giving us many new countries, states, grids, and so on. Thanks, guys. And for rovers, which often change grid or call signs, there is a special setting in here. Create ADF file for mycall/grid, and as the tooltip says, it will create a unique file name based on mycall and mygrid. Okay, so if you click that, you can see this one is grayed out, so you can no longer select the ADI file yourself. Now the naming of the ADI file is handled by the program. In our case, my call is OZ9 Alpha Alpha Radio, and I'm in JO45 Tango Sugar. Okay, so if I save that, and let's say that N2 lit is calling us.
Call sign,
you see,
November 2 Lima India Delta, has a new grid locator, Charlie Mike 95, and has not been worked before. Message to me from November 2 Lima India Delta.
We get the two messages again. We have not worked N2 lit in Charlie Mike 95. Let's say we have now worked him and we lock him. We can just demonstrate again. Let's say everything is cleared. He is again calling. Yeah, let's say he is still calling us.
Message
In
to
this
me
case,
from November
now
2
he's no
Lima
longer
India Delta.
either red or green because we already worked him. But the thing is, this is the way it worked before. You saw with the exported LOTW file and the test one we just created. But the different thing now is that if we look in the folder, there is an ADI file created now that is named with my call sign and with my grid. Okay, so if you open that up, let me do that and bring it in. It's just a normal ADI file where it says into lit was worked, grid square, Charlie Mike 95, la 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 la, and information is added here in the comment field like before. This actually also tells which grid I was in, but again, this is enable, or this is part of the file name, so you won't be. I mean, there's no doubt where you worked in because the file is created with that. So we are OZ9 Alpha Alpha Radio and JO45 Tango Sugar. So let's say that we are now packing our station down. We are moving to another grid. Okay, so we are moving into JO55 instead. Okay, and into lit, he is persistent, so he also gives us a call in that
Call
grid.
sign, November 2
And
Lima India Delta,
in red.
has a new grid locator, Charlie Mike 95 and has not been worked before. Message to me from November 2 Lima India Delta.
Let her be finished. That's because we haven't worked into lit from this grid we are in now. And as I said, the ADI file is created based on call sign and my grid. So if we go in here now and once again we log into lit and we will have a check in the files. Now you see that there's a new ADI file created. This time it's named JO55 Alpha Alpha, which is the grid we're in now. So now we have two ADI files, one for each grid we were in. Now let's say that instead of the grid was changed, if I change my call sign to / portable or something, or change the call sign to whatever prefix, etc., it would be exactly the same. The name would just be. I mean, if yeah, well, let's try it instead of. See, we locked him here, and now we are moving. Now we are portable in some other grid. Let's say we are in JO56. Okay. So yet again, into lit. Let's only get one message.
Call sign, November 2 Lima India Delta, has a new grid locator, Charlie Mike 95 and has not been worked before.
We just, play it simple here. We just lock him and say, well, we worked him. Thank you. So if we look again in the file, now we have a log OZ9AAR Alpha -P JO56 Alpha Alpha. You notice that I entered the call sign as OZ9AAR Alpha Alpha Radio /P. Slash is not legal as a character in file names in Windows, so that's why it's just a -P. So now he's locked in this one, and we can have a look here again. Again, he is into lit, grid square, CM95, and everything is like expected. Yeah. So now we have the three files, and again, if we now clear everything and we go into settings and say, okay, I will go back, I will go home to JO45 Tango Sugar as myself, and into lit is calling again, and yeah, you can have a guess at what happens when that message is received. He's not painted red because in this case, as you would expect, the log OZ9 Alpha Alpha Red J045 Tango Sugar is being used because I just set my call and grid to that. So it picks up the same ADF file again. So if you're roving and you're moving around from grid to grid and you go back to a grid where you were before, you will still have the information about the call signs and the grids you have worked from there. So that is kept in the file, and the file is not overwritten. It is always appended, and a new file is created if you change the combination of call sign and grid. If that changes, a new file will be created, and logs will be put into that one. So that's an easy way for rovers to handle traffic, I hope. Let's clear this out. Let's go back into settings. And again, oh, sorry, that was because I had enabled create ADF file for my call / grid. If I remove that, we are back to being able to select these. I'll just select LOTW report and save and exit. So this is logging, in the simplest form. As I said, there are many ways of doing logging. Many different things are supported, but the simplest and maybe also most effective way is using a local ADI file. But just remember, if you are roving, do a backup of your ADIF files on a USB stick or something. It's not the first time a rover has lost his laptop in a creek, or it's been eaten by bears or something. So remember to do backup of your logs if you're not using anything cloud-based or so on. But that's a completely other topic. I'll just delete these. So yeah, that's logging. As I said in one of the other videos, this section down here is complicated. It's difficult, and you only want to use it if you know you need it, and if you don't think you need it, you don't need it because it's complicated. And yeah, don't use it. It's there for a few users that requested it, and I have no problem in making stuff like that. But for most people, it is not needed, and it is, as I said, a bit complicated. ADF file is what you want to do, and again, export all your satellite contacts once and for all from either your logging program or from LOTW, and then just use that file in here and do nothing more, and everything will be taken care of for you. So that's it. I hope you at least got some of the questions answered about logging, and if not, look me up on Twitter, X, Facebook, or shoot me an email if you're unable to solve. And again, I can't stress it enough. Read the release notes on the web page of Terminal and read the web page. Most of the questions can usually be answered by reading that. But as I said, if there's something that is not clear, shoot me an email, get in touch with me, or ask some of the other users. A lot of guys are using it, so many are able to help. But yeah, otherwise, just enjoy, and hope to meet you on Greencube in the future. Bye-bye for now.